with Greg Luck. Greg, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to at the moment?
Oh, hi Lucy, yeah. I'm co-spec lead of JAXenter JCache, and on the 18th of December we actually submitted the final draft. So it's been a big thing for me lately, and I'm also going to be joining Hazelcast as CTO. So a little bit of news in my area.
Yeah, so what are you most looking forward to about joining Hazelcast for this new project? Obviously, big change for you.
Well, it's Hazelcast is a really exciting company that is doing in-memory data grid, and they've got huge developer momentum and lots of downloads and installs, and they're, as an Apache 2 open source project, they're really revolutionising this space, and pretty much everybody can have an in-memory data grid now. So I think that's pretty interesting, and for me, I guess proliferating this technology and also hopefully building a commercial company off the back of it all seems pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of the ideal, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about your work with the JCache? What's going on with that? Where you said you've just submitted in December?
Yeah. So for people watching this video, I'm sure everybody's heard of JSR 107. It's famous for being the longest running JSR ever.
I remember we did a piece in November, and the deadline was, I think you just missed the deadline for that. What happened there? Was that just...
Was that November 2013?
Yes.
Right. So was that the Java EE7 deadline?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so what happened, I kicked this off as co-spec lead with Oracle in 2011, and we pretty much worked all year, and then we were ready to submit a draft, and we submitted a draft, and then it got caught up. We submitted it to the project management office at the JCP and just expect them to put up on the website, questions asked. Instead, it went off to Oracle Legal, and it stayed there for 10, 11 months.
Okay.
And in the end, we actually had to work out all the final TCK licensing and everything before even the proposed draft would go up.
Wow.
And so we kind of lost a year.
Yeah.
And so we were actually on track for EE7, and then we lost a year, which was outside of our control, and it was frustrating. When we got started again towards the end of 2012, it was interesting. Like, you don't never know how long these things are going to take, but in the end, we had really another year of work to do. And it's these things take a long time.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, it's amazing the momentum's kept going.
Well, I'm a finisher, and Cameron Purdy from Coherent's team, he's been involved in this thing for 10 years. So he wanted to finish it as well.
See this through.
So yeah, we wanted to finish. So we weren't sure. To make EE7, I think we really would have needed to finish like January, February last year. So, I mean, that was never going to happen. But, the thing is, there's always another version. And so, we're first cab off the rank in Java EE8.
Yeah, so that's kind of coming up this year.
So work on Java EE8 has started. So EE7 is done. EE8 is kicking off. And as soon as JCache gets approved, then I'll become the maintenance co-spec lead with someone from Oracle. I'm not sure if it'll be Brian Oliver or who it'll be. And, one of the first tasks will be basically merging it in with Java EE8.
Okay, so kind of from March onwards then, that's going to be your big project?
I'm hoping it's not going to be a big project. The Java EE8 architects, Linda Demichial and Bill will probably, do a lot of the work. But I'm hoping to be sort of more of a consultant rather than having to do tons of stuff, because that's their world. So we'd be hoping that it's pretty much ready to go. But if we need to change anything, we'll put it in.
So you'll just be kind of just giving that final push, and then.
Yeah, and then we'll also kick off some. There's also some new ideas and things that we didn't have time for, like transactions. Pretty much every in-memory data grid does transactions. It kind of seems a little bit at odds with the idea of something that's super fast doing transactions, but
maintaining that ACID kind of.
It's sort of like somewhat in conflict with the speed that you're trying to do. But there's certain use cases where it's important. So it'd be good. I think it'd be good to look at that again. I mean, the spec actually chapter was written. The spec chapter was written. The API was done. The part that we didn't have time for was to go and create an implementation and the reference implementation and write all the tests.
Yeah.
So we kind of took it out because we didn't want to be held up, and to kind of get it finished by the end of 2013. So that'll be one to look at. And you know, there's some other stuff as well. I mean, it's, in terms of the API coverage, it's probably about 90% of the things that people would want to use. So there's kind of a declining, you know, order of importance of these other features in terms of how common they are. But there's still a few more that we'd like to add.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, one that everybody does, for example, is search. But then, you know, JPA does search. We don't really want to duplicate either. But, you know, maybe, you know,
kind of
judiciously adding a few things. Yeah.
Just one final question, Ray. So looking ahead to this time next year, so in an ideal world, you've got all your ducks in a row, everything gets signed off. What would you like to be working on? Kind of what would you see yourself doing?
In JCache or outside of JCache?
In the JCache. And outside as well.
So I guess we submitted the final on the 18th of December. I thought it would be a formality for that just to get listed. And it's now getting towards February, so we're getting into like 5-6 weeks. And once again, it's over at Oracle waiting for approvals. So I hope that we're not going to be looking at a 10-month delay. A lot of open source projects and vendors have put an enormous amount of effort into actually implementing this, and a lot of people are almost ready to go. So I very much hope that at the end of the year, we're still not waiting for Oracle to actually finish their approvals.
Everything
so that this can go to the vote. Hoping it goes to the vote next Tuesday. Okay. We'll see.
Well, good luck with that. Thank you very much for talking to us today.
Okay, thanks, Lucy.